We know that
Mm.
there were undercover agents in the Black Panthers and the KKK.
What would be the reason for the intelligence agency to set somebody up like Tucker, who's that big, to say the things that they're saying, to do what?
Well, we know that there's always a plan by elites in the government to bring about a certain outcome. There's always an agenda that they're pushing forth. Certainly, we've seen that with CIA operations, and we've learned that Tucker Carlson's dad was in the CIA. So the question that's being posed, in a clip that I came across is Tucker Carlson controlled opposition? Is Tucker Carlson a Fed? Let's take a look at what's being said here on the Kim Iverson Show.
There's a long history of the government infiltrating media and infiltrating these groups. So I always say it's not a matter of if. Of course, we know they have. It's just a matter of who, right? Which one of us is the op? Tucker Carlson, you say you're a big conspiratorial guy, and you are trying to wrap your mind around how Tucker suddenly has become much more critical of Israel and anti-Zionist. What kind of conspiracy do you think is going on there?
I don't know. And because even though I'm very cynical. I used to read Ambrose Bierce, the Devil's Dictionary, and, I'm as cynical as they come. But I also watched a lot of Frank Capra movies, and so I have some hope. I believe in fairy tale endings. So, I just think that, Tucker Carlson on the surface seems to me, I agree with 99% of what he's saying. And maybe if he's a disinfo agent, he's really good at it. It's very smooth and the best I've ever seen.
I've heard this before. You're not the only person I've heard this from, that they think Tucker is, a plant of some kind.
Yeah,
but if he is, let's go down the road for a second that he is. What is the goal? Like, who would be behind that? So it'd be like the intelligence services, the CIA, right? So we would say he's, because wasn't his dad CIA or something like that?
Yeah.
So she's asking, what is the goal? He kind of dances around the answer a bit. I'll jump ahead to where we get into some more substance, but let's continue right here real quick.
He didn't know about it until...
Yeah, supposedly.
Okay.
He famously made fun of 9/11 truthers a long time. He's admitted that mistake. And I said, as a Christian, we believe in redemption. St. Paul was once Saul.
So he jumps around a bit and doesn't really get to the point. We'll get to right around here, I think.
That to me, this is exactly what they wouldn't want. Yeah, because it's bringing these issues to the public that weren't there before. But then, and of course, that's what makes you really paranoid and get down the rabbit hole. Is that they want?
Actually, let's back it up a little bit.
Well,
what would be the reason for the intelligence agency to set somebody up like Tucker, who's that big, to say the things that they're saying? To do what, I think, is the big question.
Well, I think that the reason there would be ops at all is that, it goes back to Lenin. Lenin said the best way to defeat the opposition is to lead them, to be them. So they've always done that. And in my writing, I talk about how back in the 1960s, the counterculture was full. Timothy Leary was CIA. Gloria Steinem was CIA. We know that now. We know that there were undercover agents in the Black Panthers and the KKK. Martin Luther King had the guy holding his head on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel was a CIA agent. We know that now. Malcolm X and Fred Williamson both had FBI bodyguards. So it's always existed. Now, I think it's to control things. In the case of Tucker, I don't quite understand it. I agree, because he's saying such great stuff. And in terms of usually a lot of that disinfo, the people in the past would say, well, he's like they said about Alex Jones. Well, he's not naming the Zionists. He's not naming the Jews, they would say. And he's talking about globalists and all that instead. You can't say that about Tucker. Tucker, I've never heard anybody, David Duke or anybody, say when they talk about Israel having a right to exist, he said, why does Israel have a right to exist? He said it more than once in interviews. And he said, well, does Ireland have a right to exist? And in the case of this war, does Iran have a right to exist? Does Lebanon have a right to exist? So he said, what is special about that? And
So he seems to be acknowledging that maybe it's a truth seeker, or maybe he's undercover, maybe he's controlled opposition, maybe, verdict is out. We'll find out someday, maybe. But he's asking questions, others are not. of that kind of celebrity status.
I think
Right.
that's refreshing to hear. So I don't know why conspirators would want him to say that. To me, this
Right.
is
Right.
exactly
That's
what
the
they wouldn't
question.
want. Yeah, because
Right. Right.
it's bringing these issues to the public that weren't there before. But then, and of course, that's what makes you really paranoid and get down the rabbit hole. Is that they want us to be talking about this, and then you have the people thinking they're trying to lure us out in the open so they know everybody,
Right.
and that way they.
Yeah, interesting discussion there about raising up opposition to lure people into the public eye and track the followers and kind of create a list off of the followers. That's an interesting theory. Definitely, I would certainly see the government doing that, trying to prop up figures so you can see who's following them, who's joining their email lists, who's joining their subscriber lists, all those sorts of things. Absolutely, anyone that's going to speak out publicly on these things, you can start a list and see. Well, these are the people that believe these things, but kind of hard to hide these days anyway. So not hard to find out what people believe these days at all. Um, so a couple other things they talked about, Fox News owning, I think, an ad agency, the agency that gets sponsors for the Tucker Carlson show, that was recently bought out by Fox News, is what I believe happened. And so it's like, maybe he's controlled opposition for the media. Maybe Fox News is like, well, hey, we'll fire you, you go start your own show, and that'll help build, Fox back up. Except the problem is it's not doing that. And he's much more popular than Fox News. So that theory kind of falls flat pretty fast. And conversations are being had about the fact that he's converting people to his views. I mean, you would think with controlled opposition, you would know that there will be some conversions, but you wouldn't want to be that effective with it. You wouldn't want to be that forceful with it. So, interesting thought. Thought I would go ahead and give a reaction to this video. Give a like on the way out. Subscribe if you like content like this. You've been watching Adam's Analysis, where I provide thoughtful, analytical, and theological perspectives on current cultural issues and different things people are talking about. God bless you. Take a look down at the pinned comment for other videos to watch. Also, a link to the channel trailer. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.